Hello fitness fans, well the Horizon Adventure Models 2 and 3 are here. So if you're on the lookout for a mid-price, mid-range treadmill, stay tuned, these two contenders are up next. There are 5 treadmills in the Adventure range, and as you'd expect, they all share quite similar looks, which is good because I think Horizon have come up with a nice, sleek, smooth design that I can't think will offend anyone. So yes, cosmetically, there's not much to separate all 5. In fact, there really aren't too many differences between these two machines, hence why I thought let's put them both up for review in one video. Side by side, well, let's play Spot the Difference. Can you see anything? Yes, the Model 3's got some silver paint. But no, I'm trivialising, of course. The fact is that looks do matter, especially considering that for many people, the treadmill would be destined to live in a main room of the home. But aside from the colour-coded console, there are a few other subtle improvements. For starters, the motor. You're only talking about a tiny bit of extra power with the Model 3, which doesn't affect any top speeds. They're both the same. But you do get an extra 10 kilograms on the maximum user weight. The running belt is fractions of a millimetre thicker, so really nothing to notice. In fact, the only thing that was particularly conspicuous by its absence was the lack of MP3 connectivity on the Model 2. Horizon have bestowed that feature to all of the other higher models in the range. So then, being as they're so closely matched and only £100 difference in the price tags, how do they compare with the base model? Well, you'll certainly notice improvements over the entry-level Adventure Model number 1. Both of these have more powerful motors, that means a bigger maximum user weight, slightly higher top speeds, you've got 4 more programs, and for me at least, the benefit of more legroom with a longer and wider running area. There's certainly plenty to justify the extra spend, especially if, as I said, you want a bigger machine. Now then, let's get down to business. Power, and both have plenty. Model 3 has a 2.25 continuous horsepower digital drive motor. Model 2 has a quarter of a horsepower less, but really they're virtually the same. Both have top speeds of 11 miles per hour, and as always, I give you the true power of the motor. That's the continuous figure, meaning they're built to happily work at the top speed and incline simultaneously with no effort at all. But what does the digital drive bit mean? Well, basically, these motors have a system designed to give a high-speed response every time you press a button to adjust the speed or the incline. Now, talking of incline, if you really want to tone those legs up, especially in the calves, the hamstrings and the bum, and get the calories burning, you can set the incline anywhere up to 10%. All done by virtue of a separate elevation motor delivering 500 pounds of direct lifting power. So it's man enough to lift even me up quietly and smoothly, no fuss, depending of course that you don't exceed the maximum user weights, which are, for the Model 2, it's 125 kilograms or just under 19.5 stone, or you get an extra 10 kilograms with the Model 3, which maxes out at 21.25 stone. So there's certainly no lightweights, and these figures give you some indication of the build quality, but the proof is in the use. When you climb on, they both feel fairly well built, although I have to say I did have some initial reservations when I first got on one. It felt a little bit unstable. That was until my brain registered the fact that I hadn't adjusted the little levelling feet. Once I gave them a twist, got it level, it was really nicely stable. Now, talking of those little feet, they're fine for the studio floor, but if you haven't got hardwood or laminate and it's going to go down on carpet, maybe just think about some interlocking treadmill mats, just to save on the indents in your shag pile. Anyway, back aboard the machine, you'll be standing on an 18mm thick silicone running deck, so that will undoubtedly cushion your stride. And for the majority of users, the running area of 140 by 51 centimetres is going to feel roomy enough. Obviously, if you're planning on regular fitness and fat burning workouts, you'll want to be thinking about how things feel as you work out. Can you get those legs striding out without feeling restricted? And perhaps even more importantly, how is the feeling underfoot when you take each step or stride? Well, here is where I award some gold stars to Horizon. They've thought about this scenario long and hard, and what they've come up with is rather ingenious. All of Horizon's cushion decks incorporate a variable gel system, which means that there's a different level of support under each section of the belt. Think in terms of the deck being like the sole of a really posh running shoe. There's high amounts of cushioning where your foot strikes the belt, then firmer, more stable cushioning where you push off. Clever stuff, and that should keep your muscles and joints well looked after. Talking of which, let's have a quick inspection of the running belts. Well, the Model 3 is slightly improved over the 2. Instead of a 1.4mm belt, you get a 2-ply belt on the Model 3 that's slightly thicker. Try and contain your excitement though, folks. We're talking an extra 0.2mm. So it's not lush and thick like an orthopedic belt, but it's reassuring knowing that underfoot is a strong surface that will reduce a little bit more impact out of every step. Now then, let's get to the features and liven this up a bit. There's 10 programs to choose from, courses like manual, interval training, weight loss is always a favourite, you've got hills and rolling, all good stuff, and you can view it all on the 2 backlit LED screens. You can see the time you've been working out, speed you're running at, distance you've travelled, elevation of the running deck, calories you've burnt, it's all there. And not forgetting heart rate, which you can either monitor by holding onto the pulse sensors on the handlebars, or if you want to let those arms swing free, you can get yourself one of these. It's a polar chest belt. You just strap that around you and it will monitor your heart rate and send the readings wirelessly to a chip somewhere in the brain of this machine, and up comes the figures on the display. Simple but very, very clever. Either way, it just gives you the options of heart rate control programs. Now, if you're not familiar with these, it's where you quite simply tap in what heart rate zone you want to be kept in, and the machine adjusts the speed and intensity you're working at to keep within 5 beats of the right readings. Oh, we do like options. It's these little things that stop you from getting bored, keep you training and seeing results. Now, here's a couple of little things I particularly like with the Adventure 3. Little extras such as the MP3 port. Now, if you're not really fussed about your music or you don't want to exceed an £800 budget, then I'd probably point you towards the Adventure 2. But for me, this is where the Model 3 really impressed me. I like the fact that there's a little holder here to hold your MP3 player. The only tiny gripe is the fact that the cable supplied isn't quite long enough to go from the jack plug to the top of bigger iPods. Having said that, it's fine for this little one, and even if it wasn't, it'd be dead cheap to get a longer cable. So, all good. And I'll admit it, I was expecting to wince from distortion reminiscent of my first car stereo. But a surprisingly decent sound pumps out of these inbuilt speakers you've got here and here on the console. And this is rather neat, available on both models. You've got personal target buttons. Press these and you can set minimum and maximum workout goals. Now that's a really good feature for training variety because you've got something specific to train for. Instead of constantly watching the display, you can get in the zone and carry on until the machine tells you to stop. So that's an overview of the Horizon Fitness Adventure 2 and 3 treadmills. As I said at the start, these are mid-price, mid-range machines. They're both good all-rounders with little really to separate them. They're probably not the choice of champions. These weren't designed for the aspiring super athlete. They're not the fastest, they're not the biggest, but would you need inhuman top speeds and a mammoth machine in your home to enjoy your workouts? Probably not. What you get with these is plenty to keep those workouts varied and enjoyable. Just to quickly recap, you've got 10 programs to stop you getting bored, incline levels up to a 10% gradient, top speeds up to 11 miles per hour, the unique Horizon cushioning systems making running more comfortable, easy read LED consoles giving you all your training feedback, pulse sensors, polar chest strap compatibility for hands-free heart rate control training, water bottle and accessory storage, and plenty more welcome features besides. Hopefully that's given you a better insight into these two machines. But as always, if you want to know more about these models or anything here at Connection Fitness, the team is ready, willing and very able to help you out. Here's the number and a big thank you from me for watching. See you next time.